Hey guys, what's going on? We're going to talk about how to handle conflicts and how this interacts with driving. Whenever you're driving, you need to stay calm, you need to stay focused, because if you let your emotions get the best of you, you're going to end up making a fatal mistake. And a fatal means that someone has died. So the first thing I want you to remember, raising your voice at someone, or maybe someone driving who doesn't really know what they're doing, it's going to end very badly. So when you're teaching someone how to drive, or you're educating someone on life's intricate details, you've got to really be patient with them, because we owe that to the younger generation. And we must set a foundation. So whenever you come into a stop sign, you must stop. Then you look left, right, left, but then you have to move forward. We're going to be making a right turn. So you want to look and check traffic. We want a gap. A gap is a space. And then you turn in the nearest lane. Keep your turn as short as possible. Next, do you ignore conflicts? Usually, sometimes, or never. It depends on the conflict. Some conflicts are not worth even getting upset about. If you connect this back to driving, you have a lot of beginning drivers who just can't keep good lane positioning. They are inconsistent at speed control, and literally they don't understand, like this yellow light, it just changed. You never want to slam brakes, you proceed with caution. That one situation has caused more grief, more frustration in students as well as instructors, because students get scary and panicky. And if you were driving with me as a beginning driver, you might say to yourself, oh my God, I just ran a light. And then you're going to be dwelling on the same mistake over and over and over. Let's make a lane change to the left. So there's mirror, turn signal, blind spot. Once you get in the lane, you kill your blinker. Let's look at the next. How do you handle conflict? Do you walk away? Sometimes, never, or usually. It depends on the conflict. Some conflicts are not even worth getting upset about. This could be a conflict where a student shows up late to driver's education class, and me as a state certified instructor, they had to have 24 hours of class, and it's extremely important. So I'm very honest once I do the state paperwork, because when I sign it, I'm saying to the state as well as the third-party provider that this individual was there 24 hours of class. So I'm very upfront and I'm very honest. If you can't make your driver's ed session or your drive, you need to call and be very honest. I've run into this a lot of times when I teach young drivers that 18 to 21. You see how this car kind of rolled out in front of us? That's a dangerous situation. So don't know what they're doing, but I want to stay away from them, because many times it's about being a defensive driver. So I'm going to stay away from them, and I don't even want to deal with that situation. So you want to avoid conflicts whenever possible. You want to stay focused on safe driving practices, just like we were talking and discussing, and a car came out in front of me. You see these two cars cross in front of me. This third car almost wanted to shoot the gap. That is very dangerous. And that van that came in front of us, they just left the bar. I'm not saying they were drinking, but if an individual is there, they could be under the influence. So we don't want to assume, but when you're around bars, restaurants, you have to stay very diligent and be aware. I'm getting ready to make a right turn in a very crowded area. I'm going to talk about this for a moment and give you some insight. When we turn, we want to look left and right and go into the nearest lane, going at about 20 miles an hour. What I usually do, and I'm going to give you some insight, we have Panda Express, fast food, tastes pretty good. We have King of Burgers. Next, we have White Castle Fart Burgers. These are restaurants, you follow me? Next, we have Starbucks Bucks. Now, Starbucks Bucks, I think it's the most dangerous, because people are dying for that caffeine, dying for that coffee, and they'll just pull in front of you. So you, as a defensive driver, and that's what I'm trying to teach you, is being a defensive driver. I'm squeezing my brake, covering the brake because the light is red. Next, suggest solutions. Every conflict does have solutions. You need to look at what is the best option. And I think it's important, me being a driver's ed instructor, teaching 15 to 25-year-olds, they have conflicts in their life. It could be a boyfriend-girlfriend conflict. It could be a mother-father conflict. It could be a situation where they're not sure who they are. So there are a lot of elements that I hear, and I try to be a good listener. Good instructors are good listeners. We don't judge, we give support. And I think that's the thing you want to do as an instructor. And parents, you need to understand, a lot of these young people talk to me. They share what is going on in their lives because I'm teaching a life skill to allow them to get into the world. Driving does not make you an adult. I want to be very clear on this. Driving is just one of the responsibilities as you grow up that will be put upon your lap. You have a responsibility to keep your car in good mechanical condition. You have a responsibility to have the proper insurance. Some Midwestern states have requirements for insurance. If you have a crash, you need to be able to have the ability to pay for it. And a lot of young adults don't have that ability. Okay, there's a car behind me that's a turbo. I see the intercooler. They think they're hiding it. So that could be a conflict in a minute because I have a Chevy and they have a Ford. So you want to avoid conflicts. A lot of young drivers have masculinity issues, particularly young male drivers. They're the ones that usually drive more aggressive, drive faster, and get more tickets. AAA, State Farm, a lot of these national companies have done research, and I've been in seminars where they share the crash statistics. So as you're driving, who is driving? Not being sexist at all, they're simply telling, is it a male? Is it a female? Are they young? Are they old? Are they a mom? Are they a dad? You want to be smooth and consistent. I'm smooth and consistent right now. This car ahead of me is a Stinger, it's a twin turbo. I say this because I'm an enthusiast. I'm going to get over one lane to the right. I want to keep space. So I'm a car enthusiast. This helps me identify. And whatever you're passionate about is what you should be doing. Next, threatening. Are you threatened? See, like the Ford behind me, they're shifting lanes. So they're going to sit back for a second and identify what's going on. What I need you to do is really be aware. By me being aware right now, I know that there's a Ford Focus behind me that's a turbo and they have a bigger intercooler and they want to go real fast. I'm cruising at the speed limit. I'm taking my time. I'm not holding up traffic. I'm going to get over one lane to the left and they might just shoot that gap and pick up speed. So you never know what people are doing. You never know the mental circumstances that drivers are going through. I try to be a really good listener and offer suggestions. Next, looking for a win-win. I try to look for a win-win no matter what. And a lot of times, these young men and these young ladies who come into driver's ed, they're fighting for independence. They might fight my authority in class. I'm not threatened because I know who I am. I know what I'm about. I'm confident in my ability, and I'm not going to take a back seat. At the same time, I don't have to beat my chest and say, hey, I'm the strongest alpha male in the room. I understand that position. And when you're dealing with a lot of 16 to 25-year-olds, they're trying to establish their dominance. And I see this all the time. I see a lot of females establishing their femininity. So there are a lot of outside elements going in that come into the class. Calling other names. I think that depends on how you're raised, and everyone is raised differently. Everyone does not have your standard mom and dad and 2.5 kids. Maybe it's the situation where mom maybe wasn't there and dad is raising 2 daughters. Maybe there's a situation where dad was not there. Mom is raising 2 sons. Or it's a different type of marriage, like this car cut in front of me. A lot of people don't want to stop. So you will have to identify situations and really know who you are. It takes 10 or 15 years of living because when you're younger, you know, that 15 to about 30, everyone's going to be coming at you. You need to do this, you need to do that, you need to dress this way, you need to wear a haircut. You have to be sure of who you are. You need to have a good family foundation. Your mom and dad, or your grandma, or your grandpa, or their sister or brother, or cousins. I have a larger family. I'm the first boy in the family. So I was able to talk to my mom and dad, talk to my cousins, talk to my grandma. Also, I identify who I was at an early age. I'm male. I'm an alpha male. I understand that. At the same time, I was able to show respect and understanding to other adults and realizing that each adult that I would come in contact with would give me knowledge. I would learn from them. I learned good things, I learned bad things, but ultimately my path was to get through high school, which I did, to go to college, which I did. I played college football, tried it for the NFL, had several opportunities, went back to college. I coached with my position coach. Then I started driver's education. I had some other opportunities. So it comes full circle. And you want to give back to the younger community. Mentoring, coaching. So life does come full circle. So you want to give as much as you can. I'm a firm believer in that. And when I teach you about driver's education, it's because I'm very passionate. I had an opportunity several years ago, and it's really helped me as a young man to stay focused, to stay consistent. And when you stay focused and consistent, this person's got their car from Carvana, so it's a new car. Let's look into the license plate to the left. Maybe they're not used to it. Maybe they're trying to really show out, but that could be dangerous, and you got to be aware. So I'm not going to run this light. Doesn't make sense. Not even worth it. They ran the light. So you've got to be careful, because once you have a red light, you have to stop. Getting upset. I do get upset. I am human. I get upset when people don't reach their full potential. I get upset when people do make mistakes. But also, I am human. I do not live in a glass house. We all have faults. We all are not perfect. But I've learned to manage my emotions and focus on what's important. That's family. That's God. That's making sure my family's mentally good, financially good. I'm financially good. I'm emotionally good. And then when other opportunities come and go all the time. I have an opportunity now to make some content for a brand. But it's pressure, right? Because I have to make some content. I have a deadline. It's got to be evaluated. And if the client likes it, I'm good. If they don't like it, then I have to start over. So a lot of times these opportunities come and go all the time. But I'm under a time crunch. You guys don't know that, but I'm sharing it with you. Cry. I cry when I get really angry or if there's a loss of life. Okay? I'm human just like all of you, and everyone is different. A lot of males, I don't have to cry. But when you cry, you show your strength, not your weakness. And I think that's really important that we share that, because a lot of men and young ladies are just not sure, because there's so much out here in the world. I'm not going to blame social media. I'm not going to blame because you didn't have a mom or didn't have a dad. You have to find your own path. And unfortunately, because I've been a probation officer, there are a lot of young people that I see locked up going in the wrong path, and I try to educate them before they go into that wrong path. Assigning blame. I don't believe that. You have to control your own destiny. You can easily say, well, they're 10 years old, they're 9 years old. They saw their brother do this, or their sister out in the streets, or their mom was on drugs, or their dad wasn't there. We could easily say that, but at the end of the day, you're going to know right from wrong. I'm going to have a complete stop. I'll look left, right, left, and then I proceed. We do know right and wrong, just like when I teach students how to drive. Stop means stop. You must have your insurance. You have that personal responsibility, and a lot of young adults are not taking that personal responsibility. When you take your personal responsibility, you're going to grow more. I'm going to have a complete stop, and then I need to make a left. So I look left, right, and left, and then I turn. And I want to turn and go into the proper lane. Personal responsibility is everywhere, and we each have a responsibility to teach young adults around us the right way. Don't cheat. If you're a bodybuilder, you're not taking drugs or steroids. If you can make it to the NFL, you want to prolong your career. You want to eat good, get the best trainer you can. I look left and right. You saw me, right? You want to eat good. You want to train. You don't want to go down the path of using drugs, smoking, wasting your money, because if you have the opportunity to get to the professional level, your rookie contract is going to be your smallest, typically under $1 million. Then that second contract, I stop, I look left, right, left, and I proceed. That second contract, that's where you're going to be 2.5, 3.7, 3-year deal, 6.5 million. But if you get greedy, you and your agent, you're going to get a really, really big contract. Let's say you had a really good year. You're a receiver. You scored 25 touchdowns. You made all pro. Your value is going to go up. And then your agent and you can demand, okay, I want to be the highest paid receiver in the NFL. Well, you had one good year. You have to play it very carefully, because if you get greedy, you could be the highest paid receiver, but in 2 years, you're going to be cut from the team because your team is going to be over the salary cap. So you have to think of the big picture. And then sometimes, what did they say? Money is the root of all evil. So I have to stop. And then I want to move forward. And I want to look. And I look, and then I make my left turn. So money is the root of all evil. When I first started teaching driver's education, my boss told me there are 3 things that he sees his employees blow their money on. The other sex, drugs, or hobby. Mine was a hobby. I love cars. I love building motors. I have a Gen 1 Camaro. We'll be seeing that and rolling that out. So mine was a hobby. And when you're young and you make a lot of money, you don't really think about, well, what am I going to do in my 20s and 30s and 40s? You're going to be spending money. So a lot of these pro athletes, male and female, they blow their money, wine, women, and song, and then next thing you know, they're broke. Okay, so I want to stop behind the stop line. I can turn on red, but I have to look to my left. So I can wait here or I can move ahead. So I'm going to be an impatient person. I'm going to go up and I'm just going to look. It is clear. I can turn in the nearest lane. Keep your turn as short as possible. Turn in the nearest lane, which I did. So you see a lot of these life lessons, and I have an opportunity to talk to young people, and if they listen, they will learn. They're going to learn from you, Mom. They're going to learn from you, Dad. They're going to learn from the guy in the street, the lady in the street, because each of us has a story and a journey. Whenever I decide to take on these students, I talk to the mom. I talk to the dad. Usually the mother, the parents first come, they're very nervous, they're upset. Then it's their first child through. If they're second or third, they're more relaxed. So I put the person, I'm not going to run this light. Do you understand how this light just changed? Okay? If you can't stop, you should. A young person could have put our lives in jeopardy and danger. So you have to find that balance. Work toward an agreement. I always like to work toward an agreement. I try to hold myself accountable. See how fast that light changed? I try to hold myself accountable. I try to hold the companies accountable. And if a teen or young adult is driving irresponsible, then I'm going to hold them accountable, because my life and the client sitting in the back seat, their lives are in this person's hands. So I see a lot of times beginning drivers driving as if they're on some wild rampage. And I have to take a step back and remember that I'm dealing with a person who has zero experience on the road. And this car is a weapon, right? It's a 5,000-pound weapon. It's a 6,000-pound weapon. You're going to love this. I had a young lady ask me, can I go 100? What? Can I go 100? What? Can I go 100 on the expressway? I looked at her and kind of giggled inside. I said, no, you can barely keep the car going at 65 miles an hour. So I was taken back for a moment. You just think about that. Can I go 100? That tells me they're impulsive. So you're saying you've never been impulsive? Of course I have. Okay? But I think it's important when you're dealing with a weapon such as this car, you can't let those emotions get the best of you for that moment. And you have to take a step back. I wanted to tell you that story because there's so many other stories out here that I need you to understand this and keep in balance and stay focused. You notice how I'm driving. I'm trying to be smooth. I'm not tailgating. The car to the left is a GTO. Could be a 2010, 2014. It's got an LS1 or LS2, but 400 plus horsepower. So I'm being aware of that car. A lot of people don't know what type of car they have. A lot of people do. So because I'm a performance enthusiast, and I'm just letting down my window a second, but you got to be aware of the environment, and you got to be aware of the traffic scene. It's wet out here. The speed limit is 50. I'm at 44 to 46 miles an hour. I'm keeping good speed and good space. This white BMW to the left has tinted windows. Might be hard for them to see. The police just came. It's because I'm from the hood. I'm from the hood. I am aware of my environment. And I try to teach my students to have increased awareness of their environment. And when you start your new class, they're at zero. There's students who think they know everything, they don't. There's some students who do know some things, because more and more parents, you're sneaking your son and daughter out. We can tell as an instructor in 10 or 15 minutes if this client can drive or if they're dangerous. So as an instructor, I'm trying to elevate. Thank you, Deion Sanders. I'm trying to elevate to have my student live their best life. If a student can drive, I'm going to give them more responsibility. Trust is earned, not given. When you first meet me and you first looked at my content, I've got to gain your trust. If I'm telling you this is going to be about driving, it's got to be about driving. If I'm telling you it's going to be about parking, it's got to be about parking. If you don't trust me, you won't watch. And I have to give you a real, authentic story. And in some cases, drivers are very reckless because they don't understand the dangers that are around them, such as this wet road right now. We can't blame on the automotive manufacturers. Oh, the Hellcat, the Trackhawk, the Mustang, okay, the Trimmer, the Raptor. A lot of these kids can't even spell the words. So as an instructor, I try to give them balance. We have to be defensive drivers, because you're going to drive the way you want to drive. If your mom and dad road rage, you could potentially road rage. If your mom and dad are calm and chilled, you could be that way, or you could be the opposite. A lot of times when students talk to me, and I'm telling you this, dads are more chilled and relaxed. Mothers are very tense, very nervous, and they make their sons and daughters a nervous wreck. So I'm lifting my foot, creating more distance. They decided to cut me off. Kind of a bad move, right? Not really prepared. The light just changed. I'm going to proceed with caution. Do you see how fast things happen? I'm going to get over one lane to the left, blinkers on, and then I'm squeezing my brakes real soft. I don't want to slide into them. I don't want to be rear-ended. So you got to be really smooth on the brakes. I can't just drive for myself. I need to drive for others around me. And that's extremely important. And that skill will be learned right around the second or third drive. We're back in this very busy area again. There's Lowe's, there's Arby's. I know you like that beef and cheddar, right? There's Applebee's. We're back by Starbucks, White Castle Fart Burgers, King of Burgers. Do you understand what I'm saying? Tropical smoothie. So there are a lot of accidents over here. And your son or daughter might not even realize, and a lot of times your kids don't even go out, because a lot of these young people today just stay home and play video games. I'm not hating on video games. I'm a gamer too, okay? I was ranked platinum on Halo Infinite. But as an adult, I have to do adult things. I have to work. I'm already here. I'm going to proceed with caution. I'm not going to slam my brakes. And I got into the intersection on the yellow. And then I turned in the nearest lane. I see a police situation, so I'm going to get over one lane to the left. Some states have the move over law. If you can move over one lane to the left, you need to do that. The next thing I need to tell you, we don't want to gawk. Gawk is staring or rubbernecking. So I'm staying away from them. I don't know what's going on with the police situation, but I'm aware. You may see the other officer pull in for aid and support. You just don't know. Everyone's a little bit different. See someone coming from that little location, it could be lit. We don't know. Some states, they have marijuana laws, and a lot of drivers are under the influence of alcohol and marijuana, which leads to a possible ticket. So I'm not going to judge I just want to stay focused and pray that everything's okay, the officer as well as the driver. But that's that person responsibility I was talking about, people, right? You got to take that person responsibility and be aware of what's going on. They could just be pulling them over just to check everything. We don't know. So I'm going to keep my space and keep my focus and be aware of the situations. The one thing I want you to notice, I keep space when I drive. 2 cars, 3 cars. I try to be smooth and deliberate. There's more than one way to drive. I could be more aggressive. I could be cutting people off. But why do I want to put myself in danger? Why do I want to risk smashing the car? Why do I want to risk getting tickets and getting insurance up? Because I am a state certified instructor. If I get a ticket and I get a speeding ticket, I could lose my endorsement for up to 4 years. Why would I do that? That's foolish, because I have an opportunity to have financial wealth, to impact my family, to help people grow, help them prepare for the next opportunity in life. And that's what it's about. You have opportunities, and opportunities come very rarely. So when you get an opportunity, you really want to prepare for that and simply ask. A lot of people are scared to ask for a raise. I asked for a raise. I got it. Scared to ask for a bigger opportunity. I've asked for bigger opportunities. They still have not come my way. But at least I ask, because when you get old, you're going to look back on your life and say, man, I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have talked to her. I wish I would have got to that company. I wish I would have got to that level. You don't want to look back and say, man, nothing's really happening anymore. But you also have to find peace. I have peace teaching driver's education, teaching adults. I've had the opportunity, less than 2 days ago, a young lady who was 20, she got her license. And let me tell you something, we almost cried together. When she realized she passed, tears were in her eyes and in my eyes, and she could drive in 24 hours. The information had to be turned into the state. That changed her life because she was working 30 hours. Her grandmother had to take her. I believe she might be living with grandma. I don't know the situation. I'm not going to judge. But she was living with grandma. And because of this, you saw me look, I'm going to get into the left turn lane. I'm going to squeeze my brakes. I'm waiting for a gap. Here's my gap. And I'm going to go in smooth by the double yellow. See how smooth that is? And that's what I want. So she had an opportunity, and we did some practice sessions, parallel park, merge on the expressway, blind spot checks, driving through the neighborhood, really making good tight right turns, tight left turns in the nearest lane. She still had some errors, going in the wrong lane, maybe going a little bit under speed, maybe could do a little better of blind spot checks. I have to be critical. I'm her instructor. I want her to live and be a good driver. So she did those things and she passed. You notice how I'm squeezing my brakes? And then I'm going to come in here and make a left turn into the gas station. And I'm going to go in slow. And I'm going to take my time. And I'm going to go in and go slow and go all the way around. And I'm scanning because gas stations are very dangerous places. You have people resting. You have people coming in smoking. I don't know why you would smoke at a gas station. So I'm going to come up and look left, right, and left. And then I'm going to go into the nearest lane. And then I'm going to come up and stop. And we have a complete stop. And then I'm going to proceed. You're going to say, well, no one was here. You could have ran. You don't know where the police are. It just takes a second, right? So she passed her test. I do have a video somewhere where the road tester and I were talking. Now she can work full time. Now she's got to get that car fixed. Now she can start stacking up money. So she realized, oh my God, my life is getting ready to change. Let me tell you something. When you see a simple thing as getting your license, getting a job, realizing that I got accepted into the dental program, I got accepted into the creators program, that's changing your life. It really, really is. So I saw that opportunity, and it really impacted my life, and it changed me forever. So I want to share those things with you. If you found this valuable, follow, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and I want you to have a blessed day, and happy Easter. That's tomorrow. Bye.